So, there's something I wanted to talk about. I know the channel name doesn't really correlate with this, but I still wanted to bring it up. But I had a conversation with somebody, and it was pretty cool because in the sense of the conversation, we both didn't really agree with each other, but we both were civil with the situation and were curious about why and how each other thought. And it was really weird, you know, because this person was much older. This person I believe is in their 60s, and so, you know, I wasn't expecting the openness that was there with the situation. Basically, I'm pretty open with my sexuality in my life, and people sometimes ask me questions, you know, that may seem invasive to most, and would be considered invasive for sure, but I still answer those questions just anyways. And one of the questions that I was getting was like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Do you want like a, you know, and to be like straight up how they asked me, they said, what do you want? Do you want a penis or a vagina? And in my head, I'm like, it doesn't matter, you know. And so that's what I tell them. I tell them, well, it doesn't matter to me. Whether they have a penis or a vagina or whatever the fuck between their legs, I don't care. It's all about personality, you know. That's really all I care about. If I have a connection with you, I can laugh around you, be myself, and be who I want to be when I'm around you, and you can do the same with me. That's the situation that I want. That's the perfect world that I want to live in, right? And they were just like telling me like, oh, like I don't see how you could do that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, well, I could just never, I could never be with a man. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, that makes sense. You know, like you don't have like, you don't have that sexual attraction towards a man. Like, that makes sense. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you, you know, a terrible person. It doesn't make you anything other than the person that you are. And like, I don't know. Basically, like, they were like, well, what guy attracts you? And so I show a picture of Jason Momoa, and basically I'm just like, you know, this is like the typical guy that like most everybody would be like, oh, he's attractive. So, and he was like, oh yeah, he's a very attractive man. So, you know, I kind of brought up like, see how you're like kind of comfortable with saying that that's an attractive person? You know, that's how I am, except just to the point to where I could also sleep with that person. You know, like that doesn't hold me back. The sexual attraction could be there for anybody in my situation, whereas with you, it only is with, you know, somebody with the opposite appendages as you, basically. And it was just a good conversation, because, you know, we were both, like I said, we were both very civil, and we just kept asking questions, like, for me, right, I'm pansexual, so whatever you identify as, you know, I could be interested in you, you know, and I know that's not the superficial definition, but, you know, that's just the easiest way for me to explain it. And so with like normies, you know, normal people, I guess, I just tell them that I'm bisexual, because it's just so much easier for them to understand. It's so much easier just to you know, just say, because you don't have to, you know, like, you don't have to explain 10,000 other things afterwards. You don't have to explain that, oh, you know, there isn't just two genders, you know, like, you don't have to explain all that shit. And it's just, fuck, I completely just lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I basically tell them that I'm bisexual, because pansexual just is too complicated to talk to normies about. And so like they like continue to ask the questions about like, well, what do you want to end up with? Like, well, what if you ended up with a woman? And I was like, well, then that's what happened. Like, that's the person that I decided to make that decision with. And them just being like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm looking for a specific thing when I'm doing that. Like, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, they were also, like, telling me, like, we were also talking about different things, like how my generation is really online dating, and, like, their generation was more, like, you go out to, like, a bar, or go out to, like, a coffee shop, or someplace, and you meet them that way. And, but, you know, people still do that. Like, that's not, you know, that's not a thing right now. You know, I've met plenty of people out in public. You know, you meet plenty of people at jobs, at schools, stuff like that. And one of their biggest things was, you know, they don't want to find somebody and have that person just worry about the money so the one person found somebody else, and this person doesn't want this person to worry about this person's money. So to cut that out, this person is always straightforward about the fact that his money is his money and you ain't getting shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that makes sense, but he was very adamant on that situation where, like, you know, it's his money, and, like, he's not getting into a relationship so that way someone else can have a bit of his money. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's kind of a bad take. You know, I didn't tell him that he was wrong, you know, because he's allowed to think how he wants, and that's perfectly valid. But I did mention, you know, like, you know, there could be possibilities of the fact that maybe he's leaning too hard into that because of past things that had happened between them. And I don't really know why I didn't really press into that part of their life, you know, because I didn't want to be too invasive. I just wanted to have a good conversation about stuff. And so, you know, that's basically the conversation that we had. It was a really fun conversation. I really appreciated it. Like, it was just so nice because, to bring up another part of this video that I wanted to talk about, I had been watching, like, the few days beforehand, like 3 days beforehand, every day for 3 days, I had been watching, I'm gonna look for their YouTube channel real quick. It's called Verilybitchie. I'll put a link in the description to their channel so you can watch a couple of the videos that they put about bisexual attraction and here, let me, she did an amazing, they did an amazing video about the bisexual gimmick in reality TV. That one was amazing. I also watched Don't Date Bi Men. I also watched Why We Hate Bi Women. I believe I did watch a little bit of the transphobic conspiracy theories. And there was another one that I watched that drew me into their channel right off the bat. And what that one was, where is it? I cannot find it right now, so I don't know where it's at, but I know I watched it. It was a whole video basically on Tila Tequila. It might have been the bisexual reality TV video, actually. That might have been the one that I watched that had Tila Tequila in it. But Tila Tequila was a huge part of my childhood. You know, as like a teenager. You know, as what I thought was a heterosexual male. You know, I had like this really disgusting look on the show that, you know, I'm not so proud of. You know, that I was like that, but, you know, I'm able to acknowledge that I was like that and know that I was wrong. And to think the way that I was, you know, it was very misogynistic, and it was very just disgusting, you know, because that's just how you were trained, basically, as a boy growing up. And basically, Verilybitchie does an amazing job at describing why there is such a stigma on bisexual people. And not necessarily, I think they bring up good points, not necessarily just about bisexual people, but about people that generally are with more than one gender. They even bring up good points for polyamorous relationships. You know, they do a very good job of explaining the situation and expanding upon it and enlightening views and everything like that. And they just really inspired me to make a video about this, talking about a conversation that I had, because that, after watching those 3 videos, or yeah, like 3 or 4 videos, I just so happened to have a direct conversation about that situation. And bars. And it was just a good time. And I would love to have more conversations like that. I don't know how civil the conversations could be in the comments, but if you do want to leave a comment about, you know, maybe some of the past thoughts that you've had on bisexuality, pansexuality, polyamory, anything like that. If you've watched Verilybitchie's videos and you want to talk about it with me, like, I would love to. I would love to have some good conversation about, you know, what I saw. And I know I'm nowhere near anywhere to be shouting out Verilybitchie, but, you know, if you haven't seen their videos about bisexuality, I highly recommend them. They're tremendous, very well thought out, and very well edited. So I do appreciate everybody's time, and maybe I'll see you again. We'll see. I'm kind of sporadic with these uploads, so thank you so much. Talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye.